We work as consultants, which means we work with a lot of different companies in a lot of different fields. But really, our common interest is in understanding people and what their needs are. So if you start to think, well, really, what these guys do as consultants is focus on people, then it's easy to think about what's needed design-wise in the kitchen or in the hospital or in the car. We have clients come to us and say, here's our average customer. For instance, female, she's 34 years old, she has 2.3 kids. And we listen politely and say, well, that's great, but we don't care about that person. What we really need to do to design is look at the extremes. The weakest, or the person with arthritis, or the athlete, or the strongest, or the fastest person. Because if we understand what the extremes are, the middle will take care of itself. It's actually things I haven't seen in 1,000 years.
Try to use less material. Like here's one that's hollow inside. You know, a good friend of mine, Sam Farber, he was vacationing with his wife, Betsy. I got a phone call one night. He was so excited, he said he couldn't sleep. And what he was excited about is he had been cooking dinner with Betsy, and she was making an apple tart. And she was complaining about the peeler, that it was hurting her hands. And she had arthritis, and she just couldn't hang on to it. And it hit Sam at that moment that here's a product that nobody's really thought about.
And our thought was, well, if we can make it work for people with arthritis, it could be good for everybody.
We knew that it had to be a bigger handle. You know, kids have big crayons because they're easier to hold on to. It's the same thing for somebody that might not have full mobility of their hand. They need something a little bit larger that's a little easier to grip with a little bit less force. So we did a lot of studies around the shape of the handle, the size of it, to come up with that size that would be perfect for everybody.
But eventually we found a rubberized bicycle grip, and we basically did this. So it really goes through many, many more iterations than you would think to do a handle that's relatively simple in the end.
So I think one thing with the hand printer is you have this like constant friction happening, like when you're closing it.
But if you hold on to it, because I feel like here's the spot that really hurts. Like this is the biggest pressure point for me.
So it's like right in this area, on all 4 fingers, you have friction. So when we start out doing a project, looking at these different tools, to understand really how we can design a better experience for someone ergonomically. So really what we did here was just to map it out when we did the exercise with the glove and understanding where the pressure points are. And when we sort of go into this process of developing these models of some of the ideas. One thing we realized with this model, if you compare with other head chairs, a lot of them just have a straight handle. So you can't, for example, you don't have any control over the weight. So if you're cutting far down, it means that you have to squeeze harder to hold the tool in place. Otherwise, it's going to slide out of your hands. So with really sort of sculpting this handle area, it sort of locks your hand around this form. So you have to squeeze less. So you have a really secure grip.
We're really at the sort of final stages of our design here, where we put them into a place where we can control them much more closely to get them ready for manufacture. And that is known as CAD, or computer-aided design. It's very important that we constantly are verifying our CAD with physical models. Once you get into that, we use a set of technologies that are called rapid prototyping. So we can really finely control the ergonomics of these parts. So these are the 2 halves that come out of the machine, and you can glue them together to make an entire handle and attach them to prototypes such as this, so we can really go out and feel the comfort and work with it and make sure that our CAD model really represents our design intention.
The way we think of design is, let's put great design into everyday things and understand how to make these gadgets perform better.
And that's what we're really always looking for whenever we design, are ways we can improve the way people do things or improve their daily life without them really even knowing it or thinking about it.